Hey everybody, welcome to Nierychlo Online. So on today's show, I'm not going to do a Merlot or a Pinot or a Riesling or a Cabernet, the typical varieties that you're used to. One thing that gets me excited and always intrigues me a little bit is when I walk into a liquor store, or in this case a BC wine store, and I find wineries playing with varieties that are not commonly planted in BC. So today, I've got an Italian variety and a Spanish variety that are being planted in BC, and there's very few plantings of them, and I'm always excited to see what they have to offer and see how they play out. So let's go ahead, we'll get right into this. So the first one I've got today is the 2006 D'Angelo Tempranillo. So let you see that one there. D'Angelo is located on the Naramata Bench, just outside of Penticton. They're a little bit newer of a winery. I picked up this bottle again at the BC liquor store, and I saw Tempranillo on it, and that just got me all excited. I just love the fact that, I mean, yeah, like I said earlier, in BC we're planting lots of Merlot, we're planting lots of Cabernet, we're planting lots of Syrah, things like that. I love when I see people experimenting with other varieties. So Tempranillo is a very classic, common variety planted in Spain. Across the board they use it for all types of different Spanish wines, they blend it, they do all kinds of different things with it. But this one's done in a single varietal here. Yeah, I want to see how it plays out. Tempranillo can sometimes be compared somewhat to Pinot Noir as a lighter bodied grape, lighter bodied wine. Has some interesting flavor characteristics and whatnot to it. So let's see how this one plays out. Now it's a $14 bottle. Again, 14 bucks. Can't complain when you find a price like that. Let's see how they've done on it. Now you can see the color, like I said earlier, Pinot Noir is commonly what Tempranillo can be almost compared to in a way. A lighter color, more of a reddish color. Because it's an 06, it's starting to get a little bit of that brickish garnet hue around the outside, a little bit orange-like, but definitely see through it. I can see my hand right through the glass. It's a very elegant looking color, actually. Okay, so on the nose on this one, right off the bat, it's got a really nice barnyard element, which I like. It's got a bit of spice to it. I'm getting a fair amount of like ripe plums. Yeah, ripe plums, some dark cherries, maybe a bit of raspberry, something along those lines. It's got an interesting nose. Not necessarily your typical BC nose. Another thing to note, I believe it says on here, yeah, they're using French and Hungarian oak. Now Hungarian oak is a barrel that is less commonly used here, but is starting to become much more commonly used. Hungarian tends to add an interesting bit of a spice and things like that to the oak, as to the wine, as opposed to American oak, which gives you your vanilla and your chocolate and things like that. And the Hungarian gives you a little bit more of a delicate spice. Yeah, like I said, this does have a nice interesting spice to it. A little bit of kind of a white pepperiness on the back end. It's got a hint of a vegetal play. I'd say like a light radish, something along those lines as well. Nice fruit coming through, we've got those plums still. Red fruit, definitely some red fruits. I would call this, it's probably a light to medium light bodied wine. Nothing big and heavy. It would be great with a light cheese, something along those lines. For $14, I would say this is excellent value. I would seek this one out if you could. I've seen it in a few different places for sale. Stop by the winery. I haven't been there myself, but I've heard awesome things about the winemaker and the proprietor. I'd really like to stop by and meet him. Yeah, interesting wine for $14. Tempranillo, grown in the Okanagan. Definitely try it out. It's a different wine. It doesn't taste like your typical wines grown here. I really enjoy that, actually. It's got an interesting little bit of a meatiness on the palate as well, kind of a meaty gaminess. Okay, the second one I'm going to try out This is from Sandhill, and it's part of their small lots program. They've got a really sleek looking bottle here. Now their small lots program is kind of what's gotten them really well known lately. 2009, they took home the Winery of the Year Award and Winemaker of the Year Award for Howard Soon. He's a man who's been making wine in the Okanagan for numbers and numbers of years, has helped out a lot of other wineries, things like that. He's a fun guy to talk to. I've seen him host a few different wine events, things like that, listen to him speak, and I like him. He's a bit of a goof, just a fun guy to be around. So this is the 2006 Sandhill Sangiovese. Now Sangiovese is an Italian variety, a classic Italian variety. It's one of the main varieties you'll find typically in your Chianti, things like that from Italy. One thing I find interesting on the back of the bottle, it says, our Sangiovese, the only one grown in Canada. So according to their labeling, they're the only one planting Sangiovese in Canada. Again, that gets me excited, intrigues me. I'm really curious to see how this one goes. Give my glass a bit of a rinse here. Now, similar to the Tempranillo I just tried, lighter colored wine. I can see my hand right through it. See if you can see it. Nice red color, kind of a burgundy in color. It's also got, because of the 06, it's got about 4 years on it. It's starting to also get that orange, brickish, garnet hue around the outside, just starting to show its true colors of age. I'm really curious about this one. Wow. Okay, on the nose. This one's quite aromatic, actually. It jumps out to you a lot of bright red fruit and berries. And a lot of cherry, but sweet cherry on this one. So I'd say like a lot of raspberry and a bit of strawberry. And a lot of bright red cherries. Not black cherry, definitely a red cherry on this one. And some kind of a sweetened spice as well. Wow. Okay. Well, this one just fills your whole mouth. Your whole mouth just feels satisfied tasting this. A little bit heavier bodied than the Tempranillo I just tasted. Let's say more of a medium bodied wine. Fills your whole palate. It's got nice length to it. Again, bright red fruits on the palate. Almost slightly sweet, but not, a hint of sweet, not overly sweet. And again, that sweet and spice is playing through. It reminds me of something. A lot of bright red cherries and raspberry, a nice tart acidity in the back, and that spice. You know what it reminds me of? Those little red Valentine's Day cinnamon hearts. I would actually, to me, that's the way it really comes across in the back end of this. Yeah, it's almost like a sweet and spice, slightly cinnamony, but sweet and like bright red cherries with a cinnamon spice. I find that really interesting. It totally reminds me of the little, what do I call them, the little heart candies you get on Valentine's Day. That's really interesting. I like that. I'd be curious what kind of oak they're using on this. As well on the nose, it's got a neat bit of a smokiness too, kind of charcoaly. I like this one. They've done a nice job on it. Seek this one out if you can. The 06 Sandhill Sangiovese. This one, slightly pricier than this one. It's a $30 wine, $29.99. But you know what? For $30, I would still seek this one out. Not necessarily good value. Definitely a good wine. I really enjoy it. I enjoy kind of the classic old world nuances mixed with the sweet and new world tastes. Like it says on the back, the only plantings of Sangiovese in Canada. Yeah, our Sangiovese, the only one grown in Canada. Very interesting to me. I love it when I find wineries, especially New World wineries, experimenting with other varieties that they haven't planted typically in the past. Because they tend to do really interesting things. And I mean, I believe it's Sangiovese is a slightly cooler climate grape anyway. It matures sooner, ripens sooner than a lot of varieties, so I could see it doing well here in Canada. We do have quite a hot climate, but in comparison to, let's say, Australia, California, things like that, we're not quite up there. So we do have our cooler seasons, things like that. So I think this one could do really well here. I think more people should start planting it. Anyway, those are my two wines that I found lately that really interested me. Old world varieties planted in the new world. I would love to see more wineries start experimenting with other varieties like this, and I think it's starting to really come about, especially in the Okanagan here. Announcement to make to you, I think I told you about a week ago, but tomorrow, January 30th, Saturday, from about 2 to 8 p.m., I'll be hosting the Cab Merlot tasting at the Wine Emporium, so come out, feel free to join me. If you click on the links button, my favorite links, on the sidebar there, you'll see the link to the Wine Emporium page. You can look up the address and everything on there. Come out and say hi. Enjoy a tasting with me. I'd love to shake your hand, get to know you a little bit. Yeah, thanks so much for coming by today. Have a good afternoon.